Hi, I'm Dr. Wu. I'm going to be teaching Physics 2002 this summer. I'm really excited to be teaching this class. This has always been one of my favorite classes to teach. So I especially want to welcome back some of the students that I previously had in Physics 2001 in the spring. Looking at the class roster, it looks like the vast majority of you guys are chemical engineers. And many of you are going to be taking a fluid mechanics and thermodynamics class at the same time as you're taking our class. Truth be told, you may never see the explicit content that we go through in our class ever again, but that really isn't the point of Physics 2002. The point is really to familiarize you with vector calculus for real-world problems. In the case of this class, that's applied to electrodynamics and Maxwell's equations. You'll find in your advanced classes that they throw some pretty scary-looking integrals and differential equations at you. My goal in this class is to use the framework of Maxwell's equations to show you how to think conceptually about the sophisticated mathematics that you need in your more difficult courses. We'll be using vectors and calculus for essentially everything in our class, but you shouldn't panic. Never will I ask you to do any integral that's more complicated than the integral of x to the n dx. The point is to think about why we're using calculus and what it really means. You'll learn how to set up integrals from physical situations and understand fundamentally the tools of calculus and what they're for. The students I had in Physics 2001 in the spring know that I use a lot of technology in the classroom. The remainder of this video is going to show you the tools that we're going to be using so we can get off on the right foot come the beginning of the semester. The first tool that we're going to be using is Google Classroom. The students that I've had in the past know that I absolutely hate Blackboard, and so we're not going to be using it at all. We're going to be using Google Classroom instead. So to get access to Google Classroom, you do a Google search for Google Classroom, and then you're going to click on the link here. You'll be redirected to a page where you're going to first have to sign in with your Google account. So after that, you can click join a class, and I'm going to provide you with the code that you need in order to join our class. Once you have that, you'll have access to the Physics 2002 Electricity and Magnetism page. And you'll see that there's a whole bunch of stuff that I've already been posting here. But let's kind of go through some of the basics that we have here. So under classwork is where you're going to have all of your classwork. And there are two assignments that I've already started here. The first one is going to be about you and software setup. And so you can go through this one. It just requires you to give me your full name, M number, Google email address, Office 365 email address. The reason why I'm asking for these is because we have separate email accounts that we're going to need to link together. And it's easy for me to do this if I have it all from one place. So then in this assignment, it talks about Google Classroom. Then it talks about OneNote. So OneNote's one of the other important pieces of software we're going to be using. All of our class assignments are going to be done in OneNote. And this video right here just kind of shows you about OneNote if you haven't seen it before. So what I'm going to need you to do is to install the OneNote desktop app if you don't have that already, and also the OneNote phone app. That's what you'll need in order to do the other assignment that I have here. This is going to be taking a selfie in OneNote. You'll see what I mean there when you look at that assignment. So then after you do that, you're done with your OneNote stuff. Then the next application we use is Slack. So Slack is an intranet communication device. It's a lot like texting. You can type in it. It's very informal compared to email, and it's much faster to use. So some of you that are coming back from co-op might have actually used Slack or something like it before. We're going to be using that for our day-to-day communications instead of email. It's much more efficient that way. So the last thing is going to be ClassCrap. I'll talk about that at the end. And this needs to be set up last after everybody's in Google Classroom. Then I ask you about what excites you or scares you about taking Physics 2002, what your career goals are, and just to tell me something fun or interesting about yourself. Okay, so that's the getting started section. After that is the course information. There's more information about ClassCrap. I won't go into that right now. We also have the old exams. So something that I do with this course is I parallel what they do at Texas A&M very closely. And they have almost a decade worth, or actually over a decade worth of old exams. And the exams that I'm going to give you guys are going to be very similar to these exams. So in practicing and preparing for our exams, you're going to have all of these old exams to work on. These are all 4 questions. completely free response. I might add a little bit of like an essay portion at the end, not like a full essay, but like kind of like explain your thought process kind of portion to it. But more or less, this is the way that the exams are going to be. I'll talk about the syllabus and the grading scale a little bit later. So after that, we have the Microsoft OneNote information here. This is a link that takes you directly to OneNote. So the reason why I'm using Google Classroom again is it's much more modern, it's much easier to use than Blackboard, and this is our primary umbrella for the entire class. So all of the things that you need are going to be listed in the course information, and they're all linked. So this will redirect you to the OneNote online application, and I have a couple of my personal notebooks here, but yours will be redirecting you towards our class notebook once you have that set up. Okay, the next thing, Slack. I talked about Slack a little bit. Here's a link that takes you to the Slack page. The syllabus. So here's a syllabus. I'll talk about it very briefly. It's one page. I don't like long syllabi. But the important thing here is the grading policy. So I'm going to be grading you on the higher of the two of these categories. The category on the left is entirely the average of the 3 exams in the final exam. And the category on the right is the average of those with a lower threshold for each grade and completion for recitation, classwork, homework, and pre-class assignments. So all 3 of these categories right here are all completion based. I'm not grading you in accuracy. I just want you to do things that are in these categories. Of course, that being said, you can't just turn in anything. It needs to be apparent that you tried and you put some effort forward. But it's not graded on accuracy. But what I will do is for the classwork and homework, I'm going to be going through them manually and giving you feedback on what you're doing and tell you some pitfalls that I see or things that you can improve on. But it's all 100% completion based. You'll also see that, hey, say you don't care about this class at all, you have some better things to do. You can get a C just by taking the exams if you do 50% of all these things. So a C is you take the exam, you showed up, and you did half of the assignments in the recitation, classwork, and pre-class. So I think that's pretty good. All right, you can look at the syllabus in more detail. Let's continue on here. Now, if you have friends that took this with me over the summer, last summer, I was working on a text during that period. And so this is the entire text for the course. We start at the beginning. We go straight through. We're not skipping anything, and everything's in order for what we're doing, okay? And I'll show you the calendar and how that corresponds to this. I'll probably be modifying this as we go, but that's going to be the textbook. Okay, so then I have listed here, and you probably won't see these categories because nothing is here yet, but this is the entire semester. So it has all of the topics and content that we're going to be going through, and as we move through the semester, I'm going to be filling in these categories. Now, the last thing that I want to show you here is the Google Calendar. So if you click on the calendar here, I filled in everything for the entire semester day by day. So you'll see that you have your recitations listed here. You have the lectures listed here with topics. That also tells you what section of more than just a theory you need to read. So the only one that's not listed for is the first one, because this is kind of new stuff. But for everything else, for instance, the vectors review, it has a chapter listed here. And the book is short. The entire book is, I believe, 90 pages. So we're doing 90 pages of the book that I wrote in 13 weeks, or 12 weeks. Yeah, 13 weeks. So it's brief. It doesn't have any fluff. It gets directly to the point. And I'm also going to be making videos to correspond to the things that we're doing in class for you to watch beforehand. And those videos will almost all be shorter than this one. My aim is to have all of those videos around 5 minutes long. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. And in the email that I'm sending this video with, there will be the course code in order for you to join the course. So one last thing, because I forgot to talk about this, and I mentioned ClassCrap. So something that's really great about Google Classroom is that it allows integration of other applications. And one that I found that was very interesting is called ClassCrap. So basically the way that ClassCrap works is that it gives you a character in kind of a MMO or Dungeons and Dragons kind of style. And that character can level up by completing assignments and going through quests. So all of the material that we're going to go through in our class is going to be structured in terms of a quest system. So this is completely optional, so it's not for a grade, but this is just kind of to make the class fun and more engaging. So this is just a demo class. It's just showing you these sample students. But the thing that I wanted to show you here was the quest map itself. So in here, you have different quests for assignments. And so these are just sample assignments, but this is going to be something that I'm going to be using in the class, and you're going to be able to level up and get XP by doing the assignments, and I'll put you guys in teams so that you can work together on trying to max out your character. Okay, so that's it for real now. Take it easy.